disclaimer, first of all, I have a cough, so I will try to cough away from the mic. And as the other disclaimer, I've never done anything like this before, like this kind of talk, like cosplay panels, totally done those panels for shows I've been on. Absolutely. One about people not liking other people, never done that before. So bear with me if I get rambly or weird. And also there will be a chance for you guys to ask questions, so if you have anything that you want to ask, please feel free. I will play from the start. Oh, this one. You got it back there? Let me know when you're ready. Look at my hair that I should really straighten it. When you're big, it's like, a lot of that. Be awkwardly clawing at my hair. I did a PowerPoint because I'm stuck. Like, I made this joke in the cosplay panels. It's not original, but I'm stuck in 1997. So I made a PowerPoint so it's a little bit easier for you guys to visualize what I'm saying. Did I do something wrong? You're visiting because I did something wrong. Oh, nailed it. It turned blue. So, and it undid my slideshow. Perfect. Exactly what I intended to do. Nailed it. All right, sweet. So this is how to handle haters, or as I like to call it, shut up. Oh, why did it go away? You ruined my joke. Shut up, Mega Rock Opera. It was so much better before. It's okay. I love you back there. So I'm going to rely fairly heavily on this PowerPoint, so don't feel like you have to go back to me too much. All right. So first of all, let's talk about what haters are exactly. It's a little bit easier to talk about what they aren't. People who offer constructive criticism are not haters. Also, the word haters and hate are kind of overplayed, but I have to use them for just so we know what we're talking about. So people who offer constructive criticism, totally not haters. People who just aren't into your style of hosting or cosplay or presenting or game playing or whatever you do, some people just don't like you. It sucks, but it's just the way of the world. If they don't go out of their way to be dicks about it, there will be adult language. Dicks. They're not necessarily haters just because they don't like you. People who don't agree with points you're making, not necessarily haters. Like, it's easy to kind of class them as, like, shut up, hater. But sometimes people just don't agree with what you're saying, and that's totally fine. I really liked this quote that I saw on BuzzFeed. Don't laugh. There's a big difference between disagreement and disrespect, and therein lies the haters. So disagreement, not hate. Disrespect, hate. All right, so there's two things you can do when you encounter hate. You can listen or you can ignore. These are kind of like the top level concepts. If Gavin was giving this panel, it would just be how to handle haters, ignore them, goodbye. So we're obviously, if you're here, you're interested in how to actually deal with that as opposed to just ignore it. So there are some pros and cons to both, and we're really going to focus more on the listen side. But the pros, obviously, for ignoring are just, you just don't know what's happening. You just continue your life, and that's great. But there are some cons to ignoring when people have negative things to say about you. And one of the higher level kind of concepts, or like, I guess, extreme cases really, is if you don't know when threats are being made against you, which can be important. And we're going to kind of get to that a little bit later. But it is important to have an idea. You're also going to miss out on what people are saying, because even though constructive criticism is not hate, sometimes when people leave hateful comments, you can actually derive constructive criticism from them, even if they didn't intend for that to be what you got out of that comment. For listening, there's obviously pros and cons. The cons being you hear that people don't like you and it sucks. It can be really hard to deal with. There's anxiety that can come with it, or hurt feelings, and all those kind of, I guess, sort of obvious things. The pros are, again, like, you can get that constructive criticism. You can learn and grow. You can also become a little bit more resilient, have a thicker skin, so to speak, and learn to take positive from what is inherently negative. All right, so let's talk about listening to hate. So, like I said before, the kind of like big things you want to think about are, can you pull something useful out of this comment or this post or whatever, this tweet? Are you giving this comment, this negative comment, as much weight as you give praise, which is something really important to keep in mind? And should you respond? And if you should, how should you respond? So getting something useful from adult language. So I didn't use any real comments. I just used kind of examples so you can kind of get the thing I'm going for here. So the example comment is, "You dumb bitch, that game came out in 2014." Which is a sample of a comment that I've gotten recently. I've just remixed it a little bit. Okay, what can we learn from this comment? Even though they're clearly just trying to insult you, there's something that you can actually glean here. They're saying that your facts were wrong. I'm kind of using like my YouTube news experience to really color this discussion, but I'm hoping that you can kind of, put it into your everyday life if need be. So they're saying that one of my facts is wrong. Like I got a release date wrong. So the constructive criticism that they didn't intend is check your facts. Make sure that you're saying something that's actually true. When you get something factually wrong, it gives people precedent to pull you down as a person and to actually just eviscerate your personality and who you are and all of these things. It suddenly becomes okay for those people. So if you don't give them an opening, it's a little bit harder for them to do that. And also, should we respond? Why or why not? So this is a really good comment for response. The golden rule, as everybody likes to say, is don't feed the trolls, right? We're human beings. We're gonna feed trolls. It's hard when someone says, "You dumb bitch, that game came out in 2014, to not say, suck a dick. Hi, Mom. Nice to have you in the front row. Okay, so this is a really good one for discussing how we should respond because it's facts-based. So when and how to respond, stick to facts. Facts are the easiest thing to refute because it's not subjective. When something is subjective, when someone says something like, "Meg, your voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard," I can't refute that. I can't say "it does not," because there's no weight to that, right? But if I responded and said, "Actually, you're thinking of the re-release for this game, and it was originally released in 2008, or I guess I changed the date on the other one, 2014, whatever. So here's the fact, and here's why you're wrong. If you leave it at that, that's a great response. You let that speak for you, and most times you'll find that people, when you respond to something and actually point out how they're wrong, they'll back down instantly. You're not going to get a fight from people when they realize that they've made an error like that. On the snarky side, not good textbook sense, but snarky side, I also tend to respond to comments that are like, "You're so boring. I'm unliking your Facebook page." I will almost always respond, "Bye." Because, what are you going to respond to that, right? "Oh, I can't believe you don't care." There's nothing really for them to come back to that. So there is a time and place for snark, absolutely. But facts are really good, and knowing when to stop is also very important. So a bad response to that would be, "Shut up, that game obviously came out in 2008. You're thinking of the Xbox One version. Duh, try using your brain before opening your mouth." It makes you look really petty and weird, you're attacking that person and now they feel they have a righteous battle against you. They have this reason to come back at you with more hate and more venom and more vitriol. So don't invite that. Even though you want to say, "Shut up, I hate you," it's a good idea to just kind of stick to the facts and let them speak for themselves. All right, so giving hate context. It's really important to keep in mind how few comments there can really be, how few negative comments can really be in the scope of things. So are you reading 10 nice tweets, 10 really reasonable tweets or whatever, and then giving one negative tweet all your time and thought and attention and energy? It is completely and totally natural. I have been hosting professionally for 3 years now, and which sounds so baby when I say it like that. It seems like a long time. Making my living on YouTube, it's aged me. So I feel like I have a fairly thick skin. People write horrible things about me on the internet, and they don't register. But there's sometimes where I'll read 5 super nice tweets, and then someone will read a tweet that's like, "Shut up, bitch, I fucking hate you." And I'm like, oh, But you have to think, did I give that praise that I just completely wrote off because it was positive as much weight as I'm giving this negativity because it's sticking with me? It's important to keep in mind. All right, so I'm like rushing through this. I thought this was going to take a lot longer. We're going to have a lot of time for questions. All right, so one of the most important things in hatred on the internet is knowing when and how to get help. Threats are a serious thing. They happen on the internet. People, I mean, do you guys remember like "Go die in a fire"? It used to be like the thing to say on WoW and everything else. Like everybody says that kind of stuff. Like there's a difference between that and like "I'm gonna come find you." Those are things that happen on the internet every single day, and they're very serious. Make reports and harassment cases if you feel someone is harassing you. Actually, when I worked at DeviantArt, is kind of a social, it's basically a social media platform. Nobody really thinks of it as that, but people use it that way. A lot of the users use it that way. And people would find harassment there as well, but they would report it to our staff so that we could see, even if it wasn't breaking the rules, this person is making me feel uncomfortable. And then if it escalates, there's a history of I have tried to reach out, I've tried to get help, and there's a history of harassment. So it doesn't seem like, oh, it's just a one-off. Clearly this person doesn't care or isn't serious. It's definitely important to make those kinds of reports. I had I don't even know what I would call him, a harasser on Twitter who would make throwaway accounts and then like tell me he was going to come kill me and then make like a different throwaway account. And I would report them to Twitter and be like, this is the same person. It's really dumb because he would use his name but then add like one different number. Like I'm not going to know it's different. But so I would report them to Twitter, but because he would like leave the tweet up for a while and then delete it, Twitter doesn't consider a deleted tweet to be a threat of harassment. As it is now, I think they're like reviewing their policy. They've said they're reviewing it, but they haven't really done anything about it. As their policy stands now, if someone deletes a tweet, that's like a show of remorse, and so they don't take those reports seriously. They don't like ban people because of it. It's also hard to ban people from Twitter because they can just make another one. But if that person escalated it, if I wanted to take it to the police, now I have all of these reports of all the times that I've reported this person has said something that made me uncomfortable. So it's really just good insurance for yourself. I'm sorry, it's such a downer to talk about death threats on Twitter, but it's part of hate on the internet. Don't ever engage with people who make threats towards you and never escalate their threats. If someone says like, I'm gonna kick your ass, don't tweet back like, meet me at the flagpole at 3 p.m. bitch, because you're escalating the threat of violence, right? Like you're making it a little bit worse for yourself, and it's almost like you're encouraging that kind of violent reaction. It's also in a lower level situation that's not a threat of violence. When people leave hateful comments, if those are the only things you're responding to, people who leave nice comments will lose heart. They'll lose faith because they feel you're only rewarding people who are getting under your skin. And it's a little bit harder for people to feel like they want to support you because you're not rewarding the people who are being nice to you. You're only focusing on the negative, and that can be overwhelming for the people who are giving you the positive. Be overly cautious. I've kind of covered this already, but if somebody says something that makes you uncomfortable, keeping a record of that, even if it's just like a screenshot folder on your desktop, something to make your case later if you need to, or just to show that this person has made me feel uncomfortable and here's how they've made me feel uncomfortable. Keeping those things, because you'll lose things on the internet so quickly. We always think like something's on the internet, I can find it if I need to. Things can be deleted, sort of, like you can just get like a flood of tweets after that. It can be really hard to find things on the internet, so do be overly cautious. So let's talk about when it gets overwhelming. Sometimes hate on the internet, like it sticks with you and you're trying your best to Taylor Swift it and shake it off. But you can't, sometimes you just can't shake it. Step away, take a second, take a minute. There are some times when I get comments that I'm like, oh my gosh, this person said blah, blah, blah. And even just telling, Ashley texts me, just telling Ashley what the comment is, I already hear how ridiculous it is once I say it out loud. So talking to someone about it, giving them the chance to read the comment, gives you perspective. Find a calming activity. This is kind of also my anxiety 101. When my anxiety gets bad, I do puzzles. It's my number one Zen activity. I put on a movie and I do a puzzle. So same thing for hate being overwhelming on the internet. Find something that's completely unrelated and do that. It can be video games, it can be whatever you want. It's just something that you're able to zone out on, and I think when you come back and you give yourself that kind of time away from it, you get just like a little bit of peace. You know what I mean? Like you get like a distance from it and realize really that it's just someone on the internet. Remind yourself of what's important. So a lot of times, like, I'll pull up something on Tumblr and I'll be like, Gavin, this person said, and before I even get to this, like the words said, I'll be like, and Gavin's like, Tumblr. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, have you met this person? I'm like, no. Have they met you? I don't think so. All right, cool. And then he just, he doesn't hear any words after that. And sometimes you need that, right? Like when someone writes something on the internet that is harsh or overly critical or, whatever, is hurtful, sometimes it's good to remind yourself, not that people on the internet don't matter, because like I'm sure every single person in this room has met someone awesome on the internet. I have met so many awesome people thanks to the internet. There are really cool people out there, and I'm introduced to them all the time. But you're never going to find those people like stick around. If someone is like shitty to you, you will probably never meet them. You'll probably never have a connection with them, but you can focus on the people that you've met that are awesome and like not discount the whole medium because of a few bad apples. Remember where hate comes from. So we all kind of like, I think the like quintessential cop-out excuse for like hate is like, oh, you're jealous. And nobody ever wants to say that. But I think it comes from like a negative space. I think we can all think of times that we've said something negative about someone else, and if we really dig down, either they've hurt us, or we're angry at them for some reason, or we're jealous of what they're doing, or, you know what I mean? Like there's something beneath the surface. It's really not about them. It's about our issue with them. And I think that that's applicable to this as well. Just keeping in mind maybe where hate comes from. When I first started at Rooster Teeth, I got so much hate because I was dating Gavin. But I think some of that came from, and I think a majority of that came from people who actually felt slighted that they didn't have a job at Rooster Teeth, that Rooster Teeth had hired a host as opposed to someone who was an intern and had kind of like worked their way up in the company. I was sort of the only like bring over hire, as opposed to like, I guess like Funhouse now is kind of like bring over type thing. But when I was hired, it was like the first time Rooster Teeth had done that. And I think a lot of people felt slighted by that, and they just kind of took it out on me. So keeping an idea of where that comes from is important. Celebrate your successes. Nobody can take your success away from you. The things that make you happy, your friends, your family, the things that you do, the things that you've accomplished, nobody can take those away from you. Not a million mean internet comments. Not if every single comment on your new YouTube video is mean. Nobody can take that video away from you. You still did it. You still put content on the internet. And a lot of people don't do that. I would say like 80% of the people who comment on YouTube videos don't have any on their own channel. They're not creating content. They're only tearing it down. So keep in mind that you're actually doing something and no one can take that away from you. One of my favorite Taylor Swift, sorry to keep bringing up Taylor Swift. I'm not sorry though. One of my favorite Taylor Swift interview moments is talking about how people don't like her for her. And she said, if somebody doesn't like me for me, that's fine. Watch me be me more. And that's such a good way to think of it. Be you. Be you even more. Be you the most that you can be you, because you're unique. You can be a content creator. You can be a cosplayer, a host, whatever you want. And no negativity can take that away from you. So being yourself and being happy in your own skin and who you are is something that nobody can tear down. At the end of the day, you have to deal with yourself. Like you have to be responsible for you. You have to lay awake at night or get in bed and think about your day. And you were you for you. You're happy. I keep saying the word you. Everybody take a shot. If you did what you wanted to do, you made the video, you made a costume, you did whatever, you tried out for something, you tried out for a play, whatever, something at school, you did it. You did it for you, and you did it to make you happy, and that's amazing. Like, nobody can actually take that away from you. I keep saying that, but it's very true. Like, if you're happy in yourself, you will be so much happier in life. And that's the last slide. I really thought I was going to, when it's just me, my cosplay one, I was like, I have more slides in my cosplay panel. That one went an hour, no problem. When it's just you, it's a little harder. So I'll give you guys a chance to ask questions. There's actually mics on both sides. The Guardians are going to push forward here. Let's just talk about it. I just want it to be a discussion. Like, I feel like I would be a terrible lecturer because I just zoom through it and I'm like, class dismissed. Oh, it is, I fell down a flight of stairs on the way to my cosplay panel this morning, and I had that horrible moment of, I wobbled at the top of the stairs, and then I was like, I got this. And then I wobbled on the second to last step, and it did more than wobble. But then the guy who helped me up was like, "Are you okay? You're Meg Turney." And I was like, "Ta-da, your friends." And also, I was like, "Give me a second." Like, I couldn't get up right away, but I'm fine. I don't think I broke anything. I just smacked it on the concrete. Hello.
Hi. Oh. First of all, you're super awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And that was a really, really amazing presentation.
Thank you.
Everybody really was rapt attention.
Yeah,
can we?
So many good. It was a solid 17 minutes of your time.
So I just wanted to know if you could go back in time 5 years and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Ooh, if I could go back 5 years, let's see, where was I 5 years ago? Where am I now? I just graduated from college, so it was a really formative time in my life. I'm sure if I'm just now in this year, I just gotten my job at DeviantArt, and I would have told myself to create so much more content. I was a marketing assistant at DeviantArt for 2.5 years, and I only started creating videos maybe in the last 6 months or so. But I sat for 2 years dying to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to create content so bad. Why didn't I have a personal YouTube channel? Why didn't I just make videos? Why didn't I just do? If I could definitely tell myself anything, it would have been make more videos, just put it out there and just do, because once I started, it was just like, this is what I should have been doing all along.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Hello. What do you think about, on Twitch a while ago, there was the debate about the streamers who show a lot of the women streamers who show a lot of cleavage to get views.
I ruined
and blah,
Twitch
blah, blah.
for everyone. You can say it.
Okay, you ruined it. But what do you think about the argument that it's hurting other women streamers who try to do it a different way? Do you think you should, if a woman wants to put her body out there, celebrate it? Or do you think, maybe there should be a middle ground for the other women who are just trying to do, normal gameplay?
I think that's a really interesting question. I think Twitch was, really excited when I, bitched at the person on support who was like, your photo's not appropriate. And I was like, there are so many other photos. And they were like, actually, we're cracking down. They were waiting for me. They were like, we know she'll respond. And then I became this, I didn't mean to do this. All the dominoes were falling behind me. And I was like, it just happened with Twitch. Twitch is a service. It's a business. They get to decide what people can wear and not wear, and we have to respect that. I do not buy into anyone who says blank is the reason female streamers aren't doing well. Blank is the reason female gamers aren't taken seriously. No one is responsible for everyone in their group. Not one person is responsible for all women gamers. Not one person is responsible for all female cosplayers or anything. There's nobody in the world who's responsible for everyone else. So if somebody sees some girl on Twitch that has a sugar daddy of the month, and then suddenly doesn't take another female streamer seriously, that's their own bullshit. And they should have to take up for that. So I just don't buy into that. I absolutely agree that Twitch should have their own rules, and I support that, but I don't support other people blaming any sort of downfall of female streamers on anything other than themselves.
Okay, and then I have things for you. So
oh, thank you. Oh, it's Cube! Can I make a contract with him? There, I will do it. Cool. Oh, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. Is this really, can I pick one or are they, you're so sweet. Thank you. Oh, please. Can I have Homura? Yeah. Because I have my purple hair now. Basically, my goal is to be Homura, which is really sad because she tries and, well, I won't ruin it. Never mind. Okay. Well, we just got married because this is a ridiculous song. Don't tell Gavin. Or do tell him. Maybe it'll, no, I'm just kidding. All right, thank you very much. Come up after, well, I'll be here to take photos and stuff after. If you guys run out of questions, we'll just make it like, let's just hang out. And we'll call it, sorry I didn't make a longer PowerPoint presentation, the Meg Turney meet and greet. Okay. Saved it from my rock opera joke. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Hey, they didn't realize how short some people are, so. This is actually a kind of a deep question. Earlier this year, back in March, I was actually traumatized and diagnosed with PTSD because of haters online. For someone who's been through so much of that and have a hard time focusing on the good stuff, what do you think we should do in terms of that?
It's really difficult because I completely understand not being able to see the positive. When I bring up Tumblr and I'm like, this person wrote like this really mean thing, and Gavin is like, who cares? That doesn't fix it for me. like I'm not like, you're right, buddy. I'm like, I think a lot of it is taking a step away. A lot of it is giving yourself that distance, connecting with friends in real life, finding people that you can hang out with that aren't online at all, and then establishing those friendships online as well. So I have people that like, when someone's being snarky, like, I don't even know how to like squad goals. Like, I don't even know how to describe. I'm basically just turning into Taylor Swift. I'm like, oh. I guess I just have friends online that I know in real life as well, but when someone is shitty to me, like, they just take up for me because they've experienced my, like, oh, this is so mean that this person said that. So having those kinds of people in your life, like, I don't even know how to describe. When somebody else gets mad for me, it makes me so much less mad because I'm just worried about that person. I'm like, oh, don't even worry about it. Like, don't, or like I'll see a fan like tweet to somebody who said something shitty to me, and I'm like, don't worry yourself. Like, now I'm not worried about what that person said at all. I'm only worried about that other person endangering themselves. You know what I mean? So having those kinds of friendships and getting that kind of perspective of it really, like, when something is upsetting, this is the first thing to go out the window. And also, sorry, chair. It really puts into perspective kind of how much weight you actually give it. Because with anxiety, like, as someone who suffers from anxiety, when I'm in panic mode, nothing else can get me out of it. Like, there's, like, all I can think is, like, for the rest of my days, I'm going to feel like this. It's never going to get better. But if you can actually keep in mind, like, one of the things I do to, like, kind of center and ground myself is keeping in mind that there are other days when I can't actually breathe. Like, that gives you that perspective. This isn't going to last forever. This is something that actually doesn't take up space in my mind unless I give it that space. Then you feel grounded. You feel like doing your puzzle and reminding yourself that, like, all that matters right now is this puzzle. And there's nothing online, and there's nobody talking to me. There's nothing in real life. And this puzzle will monitor me in case I pass out because I can't breathe, and everything is zen. Kind of like doing something like that to ground yourself, I think gives you that kind of perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mix anxiety and haters a lot because they cause anxiety for a lot of people. So you'll see a lot of, like, I guess you'll probably already know. There's a lot of crossover for that for me. Go ahead.
Me?
Yes, nailed it.
All right. So I used to have the best and most smartest principal ever, and he told me something that I think of to this day whenever I'm dealing with someone who is hating on me or is really bullying anyone in general. It's a cry for help from what he told me.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they could be dealing with something that's really horrible, and they could be just trying to take it out on everyone else. So he always said, if you're ever dealing with a bully or anything like that, try and befriend them, and maybe that'll make their life better. Maybe that'll keep them from doing something that they'll regret and other people will regret as well.
Absolutely. I think that's such a good point. Actually, Jessica Negri did this amazing Snapchat story. Not on Snapchat, but she did like a screenshot of it for Twitter, which was that she gets so much hate constantly. It's never let up in her career. It has never gotten better for Jessica. I mean, she has a lot more fans now who say nice things, but there's still such a huge subset of people who don't like her and who say just the most horrendous shit to her. But she did this really great Snapchat story where she talked about people who say mean things are normally people who are most often people who are hurting inside. So just give them love. Like, you obviously don't have to be like, shut up, bitch, love you. Like, that's not, ever gonna be, but like if you just come at it from a space, a lot of times when I find people who are like, I hate you, and they say these mean things, and I just send them back a message that's just like, hey, I saw what you wrote, and I didn't think that was very nice, but like keep in mind that I'm a human being. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, they'll either write back like, I'm really sorry, I didn't really think you'd see it. Like a lot of times people think you're just not gonna see what they wrote about you, or they'll say like, I'm really sorry, I'm going through this really rough time, and I didn't mean to take it out on you, and they kind of get that perspective. So I think if you remind people every once in a while, like, I am a human being on the other side of that Twitter handle or that YouTube channel or whatever, that gives them the perspective to realize it's about them too, and just shows them love. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Really
You're
great
awesome.
point. We should add a slide to my presentation about, good point. Everybody just worked, we'll crowdsource my presentation for next year. Yes.
Hi, Meg.
Hi.
I play a lot of League of Legends, which is somewhat notoriously toxic community.
Yes, it is.
But I like to think of myself as my own biggest critic, but I also get this vice grip on negative comments or negative feedback. And sometimes it even is, constructive criticism. But even when it isn't, I don't let it go. I just find myself just lingering on these criticisms. And even whenever I think to myself, I'm never going to play with this person again, or I made a mistake and I fixed it, I just keep thinking about how bad that made me feel. And I was just wondering if you had any tips to kind of just, channel your inner Elsa and let it go.
Absolutely. For me, something that I use is talking to other people. Like I kind of talked about how I'll say to Ashley, like, oh my God, this person wrote such and such and such and such. But, and tell her about the comment. And then she'll, like, Ashley's amazing for this. She'll just be like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is bullshit. And I'm like, I know. And we just fully feed one another. Having someone like that in your life is amazing. But you also, it helps you let stuff go when 2 or 3 hours later, Ash will be like, you okay over there, buddy? And I'll be like, I was just thinking about what that person said. And you feel like, you feel ridiculous saying it again, right? Like you feel like, I know I should have let this go. So like feeling a little bit ridiculous helps you kind of like, okay, enough. Like I have to be enough now. And so just like communicating that with people is really good. And also having someone that you can talk to, that you can say like, this is why this really bugged me, who will validate that response, who won't tell you like, forget it, they're an internet person. You know what I mean? Which you need sometimes. But somebody who can be like, well, why did that bother you? Because maybe it's something else that's really bothering you that they're getting to the heart the heart of, that's really touching on that. It's not about their criticism. So having someone to like voice that concern to and kind of like that sounding board helps you figure out what you're really upset about so you can deal with that and then let it go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Also, League of Legends. Good luck, buddy. Hi.
Hello, how are you doing
Good, how are
today?
you?
Okay, so this is a little bit complicated, but first off, Bernie has mentioned in many podcasts how sometimes fans will say stuff and then the community will launch on them and kind of attack them, and that's kind of how the internet works. So do you feel like your labels as, employee at Rooster Teeth, model, and woman, that might be loaded, sorry about that.
Love that. I am employee. I am costumer, cosplayer, woman.
Well,
I actually have lady in my Twitter description, so you're not wrong.
but the reason I say that is because some people like want to target other people just because of maybe their prejudice against sexes. And so
Sure.
do you feel that any of the labels that you have, since you're such a high profile person, make you a higher target for more concentrated hatred?
Absolutely. I am a female who enjoys games. I dress up in costumes. Sometimes some of my cleavage shows. These are all things that by themselves make people feel like they're instantly invalidated. A lot of times within the gaming community, cosplayers, attention whore, like immediately. Like it doesn't matter what you do. I could wear a suit of armor 24/7, but because I do something that makes me happy, that's like something instantly to launch onto. If I'm an underwear model. I roll around in my underwear sometimes. Newsflash. Google it. That's like the worst part of just dating someone. Like, don't let your parents Google me. that's something that, like, nudity for some reason, I'm not even nude. I want to free the girls, but you're making it so hard. No, I'm just kidding. Just any sort of, like, implied nudity or any sort of the modeling that I do is just instant grounds for you have no right to say anything. You can't have an opinion. You can't be a confident woman because you're rolling around in your underwear, and that's not what I think my preconceived notions of that is. Absolutely. I fully entered, like it's a crucible that I put myself in. But it makes me happy. And like the people who think that they're weeding out people who are fake, girls who are fake, fake bitches. They're all about that, right? Those girls will move right the hell on if they're not really interested. Nobody takes on this hate and is like, I'm doing it. Like, you don't feel like you're doing a good job when you get this kind of hate, but you do it because it makes you happy, and you keep doing it because it makes you happy. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's like when I lay down at night, I'm like, I did it because it made me happy. So I'm not thinking about that hate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hello.
Hi. Oh God. Okay.
You're doing it.
So as someone who has struggled a lot with like body positivity, I get like when I was in elementary school, I got bullied because I was overweight, and I still am. So I mean,
You look lovely. I could never pull that hair off in a million years.
oh, thank you. But anyway, what do you recommend for someone who gets like made fun of a lot for like their body type or like looking like a boy or?
There's the lovely lady behind you. Can you give her a hug, please?
Hey.
Thank you. First of all, you're beautiful. If you believe you're beautiful, fuck everybody else.
Damn right.
Like, rule one. There's so many amazing women out there now who are not traditional model types, the way people would say. Tess Holliday, Megan Tonjes is one of my favorite people in the whole world. I love her. Booty Revolution. Tess Holliday and F Your Beauty Standards. They're just amazing women. The reason I love Megan so much, Megan and I are friends for a long time. And the reason I love her the most is because she speaks her mind in addition to showing her fabulous ass. And that is a combination a lot of people can't handle, and screw them. They have to learn to handle it. So I was somebody who was bullied. I was the kid that was like, I literally walked up to like a Lord of the Rings trading card game and wasn't allowed in. Like, guys, I brought my own deck. Get out of here, nerd. And I was like, ugh. I had like a Lord of the Rings binder that a kid like ripped up in middle school, and like Sailor Moon binders. I was always the kid that had like anime everything. I had like wall scrolls in my room. I have one in my car right now, no joke. Hell yeah, Sailor Moon wall scroll love in the back. Fully have it in my car right now. If there was a scavenger hunt, I would be winning. It gets so much better. When you are confident, when you love yourself, those assholes come back, and it is delicious. So love yourself, be happy, be positive, and you will bring back that positivity to yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi.
How's it going?
Hey.
First of all, you're fucking awesome. Can we be best friends?
Yeah.
Hell
done.
yeah. Couple things. I know you were touching on hearing a lot of this about Twitch and the female streamers and stuff, and you being a model and everyone getting all this bullshit about, you know, you showing everything. First of all, I'm a mod for an upcoming female streamer. I love every girl being able to do what makes them feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter, you know, what anybody else thinks. I'm just glad that you do what you like to do because of it.
Absolutely.
Touching on this whole thing about haters, though, I do have a friend that struggles a lot with anxiety, and she lets a lot of things get to her, and she doesn't like to talk to other people about it. The only person she really ever talks to is me and her family, but a lot of times she shuts herself out from all that because she sometimes has this whole thing of where she gets negative comments from her now ex-boyfriend, and a lot of people that's, you know, are around him, and she just can't accept the positivity. And I'm at the point where I want to talk to her about so much and just want to be there for her, but she lives in Ohio, I'm from Georgia, and it's just such a big distance, and I can only do so much over a phone.
Absolutely.
So I just want to know if there's anything else that I can possibly do to make her feel more comfortable and just help her out.
I It's hard. I mean, Skype is wonderful because you can
Yeah.
actually see the person. Like I hate phones. Phones make me anxious. Like, no joke. If I have to make a phone call, put it off for like 2 months before I have to make the damn phone call. But you know, Skype is wonderful because you can actually see the person. It's a little bit easier to emote over Skype because you feel like they're actually seeing you as opposed to just like a voice on a telephone. I think for me, I understand like the shutting people out. When I do my Zen puzzle thing, like no one is allowed. Penny can like sleep near me, but like F off everyone else. Like it's Zen puzzle time. I totally get like feeling that way, but I don't know. I don't know your situation exactly, but like a care package is always nice. Like it just is something. I actually, when I moved to LA for the first time after college, I moved out there because I was in love, and then we broke up immediately because that's like how the world works. But my best friend was back in Texas, and he sent me a care package of like this dumb shirt I used to make fun of him for wearing, and then a CD he burned of a video that we drunkenly made at a party of us like beating the crap out of a friend, like like attacking someone. It was just like an amazing reminder. It sounds like we beat somebody up. We didn't. It was like a beer pong thing. It's fine. Nobody tell the cops. No, it's just like a fun like friend video that like I never would have thought to look at. I'm sure it was like on someone's cell phone or something. But it was just like it wasn't like, expensive. It was just like stuff that he had, but it was just something that he showed like he cared and he was there for me in a way that was like when I was ready to let him be there, like I could contact him. I thought it was really nice.
Sounds good. One last thing.
Yeah.
Since you said talking about after panel, I would like to talk to you about something
Totally.
specific. All right.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi. Kind of going on the body positivity thing and gaming, like, as a female gamer who came to the market late because my parents were super strict growing up, I didn't have video games until I was 16, and yet here I am at RTX at 20. So, like, I'm catching up a lot. I'm going to start crying, too. Awesome.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
I was scared to play video games.
Totally get it.
Like, I didn't start playing WoW until a few months ago because you had played it and you had a lot of fun and you were able to do it successfully.
Oh my God, Mom, don't cry, and she can be in our guild.
I would really love that,
Yeah.
but
Hang out. We have a Mega Nerds guild.
I have a sweatshirt.
You're in. Nailed it.
But I just wanted to know what drove you to start doing YouTube videos, because it was obvious you had dealt with so much hate, just like in future things you had done. What gave you that courage to go to YouTube? Because that's something I'm like interested in doing, but really struggling with getting that next step.
First of all, I completely understand it. I mean, like, the community today is so toxic. It's so, I fear for everyone, because not having a thick skin and being a woman who enjoys video games, it can be so easy to get caught in the trap of just, like, everybody expecting the world of you. Like, we all talk about, like, the quiz that people give each other, but, like, we all make fun of it like it doesn't exist anymore. That shit still exists. Absolutely. And I worked at GameStop when I was in college, and, like, men would ask me, yeah, we are best friends. He raised his hands for Usagi Wall Scroll and GameStop. We're best friends. But men would ask me questions. Like, I would be standing next to the guy I was on shift with, and they would ask a question, and I would answer it, and then they would ask the guy next to me the same question, because, like, I could never possibly know. Shit like that is still so rampant and so unacceptable. But YouTube is a special beast, right? Like, you can play video games and never deal with anybody else. And you can play WoW and totally, like, not, like, obviously other people are there, but you can do it on your own for a while, so you have to call your mom to come help you. But you can do that, right? Like, you can play on your own and not have to, like, deal with that toxic community. YouTube is, like, in your face. I hate you. They are so crazy. I think, honestly, what gave me the courage to start YouTube, I think I made my first YouTube video right after I did my first video on SourceFed. So it was honestly because I had to. I don't know that I would have jumped in at any point. I was doing videos for DeviantArt that only went on DeviantArt.com. I went to SourceFed. I don't think I'd ever uploaded anything to my personal channel. I have to look. It's probably like nothing whatsoever. Like maybe like my college reel from like college news team, I think might be the only other thing that was on my YouTube channel. So I had to. Like my job was on YouTube, and I had to learn YouTube. It's really hard. But the coolest thing about YouTube nowadays is that you can turn off comments if you want. And that's not really anything new. But you can meet so many people and just share your video with them and get like their feedback and then throw it away and then make it private and then do it again. Learn till you're comfortable, and then you can just, the best part, use a little drop down arrow and then it says remove this comment. And you can just, that's gone now. Like, every YouTube channel curates comments, and it shapes the conversation. So it's a good thing to do. I think it's important. Yeah.
Thanks.
I hope that answered your question. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I had a question because on the internet, if you're a content creator, at some point there's always going to be hate.
Absolutely.
I feel like, because it's the internet. So for people who are thinking about making content but not yet doing it, do you think except for this panel, do you think there's any way to like properly prepare for the hate, or do you have to wait for it to come and then deal with it?
That's a really smart question. I don't think there's any way to prepare yourself for what YouTube comments do to your psyche and then like change and mold like who you are and how thick your skin is. I do think just reading the comments, like go to a video that you like and then just read some of the comments and then never read the comments again. There are a lot of people who believe like never read comments, and there are totally people who never read comments. Ashley and I on the Know are very against that concept because there's a lot you can learn from comments. Like even like we covered, like even hateful comments can teach you something. So I think it's important to embrace that, but there's always going to be hate. So taking it in doses, taking it in small steps. Maybe you read 5 or 6 comments and something really stuck in your craw, and then you find a nice one, and then you read that one, and then you just leave. Like you just walk away from it, and then you come back. I think knowing when to step away and when to like get up and get a drink of water and just take a minute is infinitely helpful. I don't know that there's really a way to prepare yourself without it happening, though.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
So as a female gaining more and more popularity in the internet and gaming communities, do you think that hate directed at you has become more sexist in nature? And do you think that there is a different way, other than the ones you've already talked about, to deal with sexist hate?
I don't think it's more sexist now than it was before. I feel like even when I started at SourceFed, like this bitch, was a lot of that. I feel like it stepped up in the sexist nature when I started modeling, for sure. Absolutely. I don't know that there's a way, for me, honestly, like sexist hate is sort of the easiest to deal with because it's so ridiculous. It's like almost cartoony now to be like, oh, it's a woman with an opinion. I hate her. Like I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not even worried about you. It's the people, to me, like who are, like dispute facts or like take one thing that actually has nothing to do with this thing and then say like you can't have an opinion because of that. That kind of stuff is really annoying. But I guess part of that is sexist. Part of that is like being a woman who rolls around in her underwear, can't have an opinion. That's really annoying. By the way, they're streaming this. I'm just like telling people online what to say to piss me off at this point. Just don't listen. Yeah, I don't know that there's a way. Just having strong female friends, strong female role models to look up to. Megan Tonjes is another one is one that I've mentioned several times, who deals with hate in such a deliciously snarky way. It kind of inspires you to be just as snarky and kind of have fun with it, honestly. And she deals with a lot of hate that is of a sexist nature. So I think just having those kind of like role models in your life and people and women to look up to and women who are doing something that you want to do to remind you that it can be done. It is not impossible. So, yeah. Thanks.
Hi, Meg.
Hey, girl.
Hey. Like you said, there's usually like a lot more good comments than bad comments, but do you ever have a time when like a bad comment just really like hits you, and then you lose your motivation, but then you like think of a interaction with a fan that really brings you back like to that motivation? Like this is kind of like a small example. Like small time YouTuber. I was promoting my friend's charity stream a couple months ago, and I was talked about like how like it really means a lot to me, and then I got a comment like, "Stop talking about your dead dad so much." And
really?
And then I stopped I lost my motivation completely, and
Of
then
course you did. That's bullshit.
and then my friend was babysitting this kid in the next town over, 11-year-old girl named Holly, and they were talking about YouTube, and she's like, "Oh, my favorite YouTuber goes to your school. Her name's MK. She lost her dad like I did, and she plays video games."
MK
And that,
Ultra.
yeah, and
That's my nickname for her, y'all.
Oh yeah,
MK
we're
Ultra.
like best friends now.
Yeah,
Right?
we became best friends yesterday.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I almost cried in front of you. That was great.
You did great. You
Yeah.
tweeted me later that you cried after, and I was like,
Yeah.
kept it together, girl.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, like, do you have like that experience? Was like, I cried after like my friend told me that. I was like happy tears, like yay, like I'm someone's favorite YouTuber.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, the reason that we do things like this, like going to conventions on a weekend, is not about making money. It's about meeting people. Like, it's not how I make any of my living whatsoever. I am a host, but I go to anime conventions and I get to meet people and like store up like good energy, so when someone says something horrible about me or like makes a confession about me that's like terrible, you can just remember that like amazing store of energy, and the people who I've met in person who are fucking awesome, and like none of that other shit matters instantly. It's an amazing way to like counteract any of that hate, is actually getting to see the fruits of your labor.
yeah. Thanks, Meg.
Nice to see you, MK.
You too.
Hey, hope your day's going all right.
Huh, you look lovely.
Oh, thank you. There's more that's over there. It's just very, very
Oh.
warm. I'm Canadian. It's just a. So I actually have two questions, if that's okay. I'm sorry to take up more time.
You're
But
right.
so my first question is just more about things in real life. Like to give a bit of personal context, I have a charity group, a cosplay charity group I'm with. Something shady went down with the commissioner, and basically some things are being spread about me that aren't true or kind of hurtful, that sort of
annoying.
thing. So it's not quite like the same online where I can, delete comment or kind of like block the person or, that sort of thing. Like it's an actual real life, I have friends that are friends with that person. I was friends with that person. So do you have any advice to kind of deal with perhaps, stuff in real life with where you can't just kind of block, forget, go away?
Absolutely. And this happens a lot in cosplay. People date in the cosplay community a lot. And I think it happened more actually when I was younger. Maybe I'm just not aware of it anymore. Maybe I'm not cool enough to be aware of people's relationships anymore. But I used to date a lot, and then they would like break up, but then it'd be like this weird, like, who's on their cosplay side? Like, oh, he's doing a group with so-and-so. I guess she doesn't like so-and-so anymore. So real life gossip happens in every fandom and in every facet of everything. Honestly, it's just about making your case to your friends and hoping that they believe you or trust you or love you or whatever and support you, and leaving it at that. I think when people pursue over and over again something that maybe like you've talked to that person and then they've decided they're not your friend anymore or whatever, and then you keep talking to that person, like you only dig a deeper hole for yourself. So I think it's really helpful to always like have screenshots of things, or like, I really did email this person or whatever, and show that to people. Again, it's like sticking to facts. I think that's really important in any sort of dispute of any kind, is just sticking to the facts and then letting everyone else kind of have their emotional response.
Excellent. And my second question is, as a fellow queer person, I luckily come from a very lovely place that's super accepting of everything. But coming, down to the U.S. or around places like
What are you
this.
going to say about the U.S. now?
I mean, the U.S. is a lovely place.
I'm from a lovely place, and then I come to this shithole, and
Another lovely place, but so I just like, how do you deal with some sort of like I guess you could call them like microaggressions, just like stuff like, oh, that's so gay, or oh, what a queer you're being, or man, I hope that Peach cosplayer isn't a guy, wouldn't that be gross, and like stuff like that, and where the Peach cosplayer was a guy, and I thought it was absolutely wonderful.
yeah, absolutely.
And so like just little stuff like that like I see it and just like it kind of hurts, because even if they're not saying it to me personally, I
Sure.
feel like either they're saying it to my queer cousins, or like they're saying they could potentially be saying it to me when I'm not
Right.
there. So like, how do you kind of deal with that?
I'm really like, I'm a loud person, so if anybody wasn't aware, I speak up. I speak up all the time. So I speak up about that shit. That's so gay kind of died out. Like, what was that, like 2007, right? Like, nobody really says it. So if someone's like, oh, that's so gay, I'm like, ew, 2007. Like, maybe just like make a joke, but it's also like, I'm not okay with that. But like have some fun with it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like there's always a nice, I'm someone who uses humor as like a defense mechanism and also as just like how I deal with everything in life. My family is, we're all about humor. If someone falls down, the first thing my mom will ask is how'd that feel before she asks if I'm okay. Because it's just like, that's how we deal with things is humor. So I use humor. If that's not what you use, like that's totally okay. But I'm just somebody who uses humor in those kinds of situations to just kind of be like, actually not okay, but we're going to make a joke so that you don't feel so awkward about how not okay that was.
All right, thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
So reading through comments on like your Facebook page or, you know, YouTube or whatever, how do you feel about people who are sticking up for you and like creating like little mini fights in comments? Like, is it something that bothers you? You're kind of like, oh, thank you. Or
sometimes it's nice because they'll refute something that it saves me time. Like honestly, like it's like, oh, this bitch, she shows her boobs and then she's like, nobody can talk about boobs. And then someone will link the video. Then I'm like, actually, here's what I actually said about that. And that just saves me like time, which is really nice. I feel bad when people feel like they stick up for me and then they get in like 12 comment long fights because like you don't have to put that in for me. Like I love you without you having to like, because I guess I feel like I know I can handle that kind of stuff. I don't know about you, so I'm worried that you're not going to be okay. So I'll normally with stuff like that, we'll go in and just be like it'll be like Joe says Meg's a slut, and then Kevin says like no she's not, and then they have like 10 more comments, and I'm like shut the fuck up Joe, and then it's like done. Like you know what I mean? Like they don't have to deal with it anymore. So I worry about people for that reason. Okay. Thanks. We'll try and speed through all these because I think we're at 10 minutes or 5 minutes. They're gonna give me assigned 5 minutes, so we're gonna try and run through all of your questions in 5 minutes. Here we go.
Okay, real quick, I met you
at the end. Pictures at the end.
I met you outside of at midnight, and I was super awkward then, so I'm probably super awkward now. But I want to be a creative person in the internet, not necessarily YouTube. I want to be a writer. So how do you kind of get over like your own self-doubts of like, oh, no one's gonna want to see this?
Do and do and do and do. It's the same advice I give in the cosplay panel and in YouTube panels or anything. Just write something, and if you feel good about it, put it out into the world. If you write something and you're like, I know I can do better, and you're not just being your own worst critic, like you have to be able to differentiate. If you know, like, actually this is pretty good. I want to get some creative like feedback. I want to get some constructive criticism. Put it out into the world. And then if you don't like, if you look at it and you're like, this isn't my best work, and I know objectively that I'm not just like being down on myself, like do another one. Also find people who are also starting out because they can give you kind of like, it's almost like people who are also starting out in the same field have like the most blunt feedback. Like you're really awkward, but they also have like a really good, like first of all they point out your flaws, but also they want to be nice because they're also starting out. So having a mix of people who are experienced in what that field is and the people who are starting out will give you like a really cool, unique set of feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Well, I was wondering, you did a story. I don't remember if it was you. I'm sorry if I got this incorrect, but you did. I think it was you who did a story on the No about Reddit and how it's in total anarchy.
Yes.
Well,
there were a couple, but I was one of them.
So it was kind of relating to the haters to well, do you think they should be policed, such as on YouTube? You think?
So it was about Reddit deleting. They were basically coming in and saying like, "Oh, you fucked up now" because they pushed out Ellen
and also
Powell.
like
Totally
such on
remember.
like on Twitch and YouTube and everything. Should they really be policed, or should they just be allowed to spit into the void?
Everything is a business. Everything on the internet is a business. Reddit is a business. Twitch is a business. It is hurtful to their business. It is harmful to their business to have people constantly shit on other people on their platform. It just is. Like nobody wants to come to your platform to be shit on. So I completely understand Twitch like micromanaging where they do, Reddit micromanaging where they do. Whether or not it's for the best for their business, I can't say. What I can say is their business, and I respect that. I do believe in free speech. Absolutely. Nobody, like, don't get me wrong. But they're businesses, and businesses don't have to abide by allowing everybody to say what they want to say. So I fully support Reddit in shutting down subreddits that they don't want on their site, because it's their site.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi, Meg.
Oh, there's so many of you. We're going to rapid fire. They're going to kick me out. Go.
Thanks for this panel in the first place.
Thank you.
But kind of friends and I have our own YouTube channel. I won't bother promoting it.
Like half plug, decide not to plug. Amazing.
Exactly. I thought it'd be best. But we had a scenario where we did have a commenter start leaving negative comments, and some of our fans were defending us, and things kind of escalated. So what kind of things would you suggest would you suggest to kind of prevent something like that from happening?
It's a really slippery slope. My mom and I were actually talking about this before the panel, where Nicki Minaj recently got in trouble on Twitter for retweeting or tweeting out the Instagram of a fan who left a nasty comment on her Instagram. Those comments are public. Common sense to me says if someone leaves a comment that's in the public eye, they should be ready for whatever comes back to them, right? But what got Nicki in trouble is that she has like 9 million followers or something like that. Like, this woman just got dogpiled on, and people felt it was Nicki's responsibility not to allow that to happen. So I think sometimes if I see in comments somebody defending me and then somebody else saying something and it's getting a little heated, I do try to go in and try and diffuse the situation. Hey, sometimes I'll just go, I'll see somebody who writes blah, 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 all these mean things, and then 45 comments that are just everybody arguing, I'll just go delete the original comment. It deletes the entire thread on Facebook. That person's just gone now. They don't exist anymore. Nobody's seeking out any other stranger that they've never heard of, and now it's done. And now we all zen. So I think removing comments like that is helpful in the long run.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
Yes.
So what do you do if you find something about yourself that you hate and you find it very hard to change?
Oh, that's a personal issue problem in that if somebody points out something in constructive criticism or in hate, then I'm oh, I really hate that about myself. I do try and work on it. One of the things I get a lot that I see and I'm damn it, I talk really fast. I was hired at 20 minutes or less /SourceFed, RIP. 20 minutes or less, they don't do that anymore. But I was hired for my ability to speak really, really fast, back when they used to have all of their news updates under 20 minutes or less. Who knew? So I was hired for my ability to speak quickly. But that is not what I do anymore. And actually, while I was at SourceFed, I was everybody slow down. But I just naturally speak really fast. So sometimes I'll see comments that are hate this bitch, I can't understand anything she's saying, she talks so fast. And I take from that all right, next time we gotta take it slow. Gotta remember, stop talking so fast. So you just take something and build with it and, try and make better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. They're gonna kick me out. Is this last one? Can I do last question? Yeah, all right, last question. Sorry.
I understand that there's always a generational gap, and I'm going to go with the hot button topic here, so don't get mad at me, with how the older generation really isn't okay with same-sex marriage, but the younger generation is more accepting of it. Do you think that we'll get to that point in the gaming industry where the newer generations that are coming into the gaming industry be more accepting than kind of the League of Legends type crowd that the gentleman in orange mentioned, and the more hateful generation of, I disagree with you, therefore you were evil, and piling on that person?
I think yes, but in an inverted way. I think most people who leave vitriolic comments are very young. They skew very young. Most of us didn't grow up with being able to leave horrible comments when we thought something horrible about someone, we wrote in our live journals where nobody saw it or whatever, or we didn't use the internet, or we wrote it in a journal and it didn't live forever. I think the younger generation is really struggling with learning that there are human beings that you're affecting on the other side of that web browser, and as they grow up and they mature, they chill out. They realize it doesn't feel good when someone does it to them too, and they step away. So I do think we are going to come to a point where hating is less accepted, but as long as younger kids who don't understand are on the internet, it's just going to stick around.
And they may not understand that free speech does not necessarily mean freedom from the consequences of that speech.
Absolutely. President of the internet, right there. All right, thank you guys. That's it. I'm out of time, but I will stay as long as they allow me to take photos and such before we get kicked out. Thank you guys.